Maybe I can edit the time on it now because I said it was just over an hour at that point, but I don't. No, I can't.
I need to share my screen.
Hi, everyone. As we're coming into the room, glad to see some faces I don't know and some I do know. We're going to give everyone till 5 after the hour, I think, until we begin, unless we get a huge influx in the next 2 minutes. Hopefully, we can start as close to on time as possible.
Well, there's so few of us, I might as well speak and say good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you, Kim? Bonjour, Valerie.
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Sarah. Oh, hey, Suzanne.
Good
Haven't seen you in
morning.
a while.
Hi, Suzanne. Great to see you.
Did you go to IMM last week, Kim?
No, I couldn't. Unfortunately, I was my dog's near the end. So yeah, I'm gonna have to make
You mentioned that.
yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
That's not.
sorry. Didn't start that with a downer of the day, sorry. But next year though, I plan to. Yeah.
We're looking after our daughter's dog right now after he had knee surgery. I may have
It's a
mentioned.
lot of work. I'm not getting much sleep, to be honest, because he's actually got like doggy dementia. So he wanders quite a bit. He'll get stuck in a corner and he'll cry. And yeah, it's quite something for a senior dog.
Lifetime Eye Care City, Dr. Ford.
Bonjour, France, comment ça va?
Bonjour Nadine, ça va bien toi?
Très bien.
Hello
Welcome.
everyone.
Hello. France, we met at the conference last year. It's great to see you. Very briefly. I don't know that we had a ton of time to chat, but it's wonderful to see you.
Will you be in Richmond?
I hope so. My fingers are crossed. And
Well, let's catch up there then.
I know. There we go. My colleague
Well, you know what,
Ashley on the
France?
screen will be in Richmond.
Yeah. What's that?
This is the spicy maple syrup that I got from the Le Germain Hotel in Charlevoix.
Yeah?
And I just had it on a margarita pizza, and I was just thinking of you, and then your face popped up, and I'm like, hey! In the US, you all do hot honey, but in Canada, we, thanks to Le Germain Hotels, have hot maple syrup.
Love that. That actually sounds even better.
Great.
It is fantastic because it's not as gooey, right? So you can put less on. And hi, Ashlyn. Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, everyone.
We are waiting for a lot more registrants to show up. We're going to give people another 5 minutes and then we're going to get started to respect everybody's time. But very excited about our topics today.
Hi, Jody. Saw you pop in.
Hello.
Hello. Hi,
Hey,
Ashley.
Jody. Hi.
Hi, Matt.
Actually, Jody was just in Charlevoix a few weeks back, so maybe she can
Okay.
attest to the spicy maple syrup.
Did you get the spicy maple syrup, Jody?
I did not get any spicy maple syrup.
Okay, you'll have to come back then.
Yeah, redo.
Jody knows from several press trips now that my go-to pizza is a margarita pizza. So there's nothing better than something like a spicy maple syrup to kick it up a notch.
While we're waiting, should we be bringing up our profiles that we already have on TMAC?
Well, we are going to look at one industry one and one media one, but I would suggest why not log into the TMAC website and pull up your profile, and we can talk about those interactively towards the end with questions, or we can you can follow along and add notes as we go of things you want to add.
Hope everyone's faring winter okay. It is
Everyone's not
actually-
frozen. That's a good start. We're here.
Yeah. We're here.
How's New York doing with all the snow and
It's cold.
rubbery?
Really cold. We're not used to this.
The roads are clear, at least. The sidewalks are relatively clear. I feel in the evening it can get a little slippery, but
Yeah.
a little black ice.
We some of you will laugh, and I don't know what the conversion would be, but we got a foot of snow last week, which is pretty unheard of for us. So we're all trying to dig ourselves out. Some literally.
All right, we've got a pretty good showing of our registrants right now, so I think we will kick this off.
Perfect.
And just to make it easier for the people who are doing the video editing afterwards, I will do a standard broadcast countdown in 3, 2, 1. Hi, everyone. We'd like to welcome you today to our first National PD session on how to build a clear, compelling professional presence to maximize your opportunities. And today we have 2 speakers with us from PTG Consulting. Ashley Norman, who's the Vice President of Marketing Communications, and she's leading the North American PR and digital marketing team for tourism. And she brings 20 years of tourism and hospitality experience to that with many clients in Mexico and the Caribbean. And we've got Jessica McGettigan, also our TMAC member. Many of us know her and love her. And she specializes in media relations, brand positioning, and event marketing. Her official title, the Public Relations and Marketing Communications Director at PTG. And she works with all kinds of top tier people like Bloomberg, Rob Report, Wine Enthusiast, and also does work with Mexico and the Caribbean. So we're going to have an interactive session today. We ask you to turn off your mics when you're not speaking. And both Jessica and Ashley are very happy with people jumping in with questions, but hopefully we will also have time for questions at the end. And although the session is going to be focused on these one-pagers, I did ask Jessica and Ashley to tell us a little bit about PTG and how we can work with PTG from a media side, but we will also be focusing on industry along the way as we go. So welcome one and all, and take it away, ladies.
Thank you so much, and thanks for the opportunity to get together with everyone. Today, as Nadine mentioned, we're going to be talking about building a clear and compelling professional presence to maximize your opportunities and working through us, and how you can do that through one-pagers and also your profile on the TMAC website. Jess, can you move to the next slide, please? Awesome. So just to start out very quickly and give you a sense again for our organization, we're with PTG Consulting, which is a travel marketing agency that's part of Preferred Travel Group. So if you're familiar with Preferred Hotels and Resorts, Beyond Green, Historic Hotels of America, those are some of the sister brands within our organization. So within PTG Consulting, we are very, very involved in the destination marketing space, as Nadine so kindly introduced us and explained that a little bit. And a lot of our work is in destinations that are outside of the US and Canada. So, all over the world, but more of an international lens. So through today's presentation, we'll be able to, kind of give insights and pull back the curtain a little bit into how decisions are made from large, mid-size, and small DMOs from different areas of the world, and the different players that are part of those decisions, which makes, which makes for an interesting situation when we are looking to fill a fam trip or, other types of activities that we do. We also work with, some independent hotels as well as some hotel brands. So we can, kind of provide insights from that perspective. And again, multiple brands within the preferred travel group umbrella. So, we see how those brands operate through our colleagues' work as well, which, can be a bit of a different approach also from DMOs. So any and all questions in any of those spaces, we're happy to address, and looking forward to a really interactive and informative presentation today.
Okay. Thank you so much. Like Ashley said, we would love this to be a very interactive session. And also to my industry members that are in the room with us, please at any point, we would love for you to jump in with some additional insights too. Like Ashley said, we're coming from the destination marketing. We've also worked with hotels and resorts across the world as well. But everyone's kind of worked with a few different types of industries and clients, and everyone's looking for something different. If I can give like a high level spoiler before we really get into it, everyone's looking for something different, but let's talk about what's really going to, what we as industry members look for on profiles for content creators and also for the media, and then what our profiles should look like for you guys as well when you're looking to all work with us. So with that, we need to kind of start from the beginning before we even tell you what you should have on your one pagers. We all need to kind of understand how we all work together, what we understand is the industry of what you guys as the media, self-publishers, creators, what you're looking to for us, how we understand how you all work into our larger strategies as well. So with that, we wanted to kind of, just go over a couple of high level things in terms of media, traditional media, self-publishers, bloggers, people who own their own websites. The way that we kind of approach and why we value working with this segment is for a variety of different reasons. Number one being, especially for the legacy outlets, these are going to be the types of media, the types of channels that our clients really understand the best, especially when we're talking about clients that are coming from international markets. Those legacy brands are ones that resonate really well with them, and that they're able to understand how to work with and leverage those channels and those communications in order to get their messaging out there into the world. Obviously, third-party credibility. This is a huge one for us and why we work with earned media, traditional media, that third-party credibility, and in a sense, an ambassador of our work, but through relationship building and true and honest. We want to work with you guys to make sure that you love us and our clients as much as we love them too, and how can we tell the best stories all together. Earned editorial. So this is a topic that we actually have been talking about a ton. And then GEO as well, which I'm sure most of us, if not all of us, have heard that term at one point or another, more so in the last 6 months than we've ever heard. We are seeing, especially from our side, and again, my industry members jump in 110%. From our side, we're getting more requests and interests than we've seen in a really long time for earned editorial. And a lot of that has to do with this rise and impact of GEO. And on a very macro scale, and Ashley, please jump in and guide me through this too, because we're all still learning it together. But GEO on a very macro scale, the way that works are the different AI platforms, ChatGPT, Copilot, what's the other one? Claude. The Claude. Thank you. I haven't used that one yet myself. But these guys are all searching for earned coverage, stuff that's on websites, etc., with consistent messaging, so that as users are typing in questions about where to travel or questions about a destination or best hotels, they are searching all of these different websites online to be able to provide them with recommendations. And there's actually a massive increase in consumers using these different LLMs or AI platforms to plan their travels. So we're seeing clients, increase their requests for earned media coverage in legacy outlets, but also on blogs and self-published websites as well. Those matter just as much too. And those also, they each serve different purposes. Traditional media tends to reach broader audiences and wider ranging places. And blogs tend to reach very niche audiences as well. So all are important, and it really truly comes down to who the client is and what they're looking for, and to help us kind of determine who we're going to prioritize working with.
And I think just, another point to mention when it comes to GEO and generative search is owned media is also, very, very important. So we're seeing a lot of people shift how they're approaching their websites back to a strategy that was prevalent, I'd say 10, 15 years ago, of having, a very active blog that's their own media on the website, that can, and oftentimes, as many of you I'm sure know, in the travel space, that means having contributors, which are, kind of paid contributors to provide content for that blog. Often those are folks like yourselves. So I think that opportunity is likely going to be on the rise with certain DMOs, I would say probably particularly in the US and Canada, as AI search continues to be so important. I was actually at an event last week and someone made a very, very, I would say, somewhat controversial statement. And that statement is the online travel agency model, is that dead? Is everyone going to be using ChatGPT instead of Expedia and going directly that way? And I think that is certainly a ways off, but it just gives context to the importance of creating the content that's going to drive the results in those AI platforms.
Yes.
I'm just going to ask, because I don't actually know, what is the acronym GEO?
Generative engine optimization.
Yep.
So it's the
Thank
same
you.
as search engine optimization, except it's kind of that idea tailored toward ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot,
Yep.
etc. Yep.
Where
Gotcha.
SEO prioritizes links more, GEO prioritizes messaging more,
Yeah.
to really very much boil it down. And then the last thing really quickly for media, there is, especially for clients that have big news, my journalists in the room, we know that not everything deserves an exclusive announcement, and trust us when we truly try to educate our clients on that. But especially when we do have exclusive announcements, that is worthwhile, of a larger reach. Working with traditional media is a great way to get that news out in a big way. Okay. Content creators and influencers. Ashley, please feel free to jump in on this one too. I know that you work more closely with our digital community and on those projects. But in a same but different way for traditional media, content creators, you are a massive part of our strategies as well. Truly, for most clients that we work on, we come at it from a two-pronged approach, where we have that traditional media and then we also have that digital presence as well, and truly push both of them because we need both in today's PR strategy, honestly. The benefit of working with creators and influencers is because you guys have really, really honed in social communities, and we're able to tap into your audiences. We're able to work really closely with you guys on the kinds of messaging that we want to get across, the things that we want to say, what we want to show in the content, to make sure that we're getting across to audiences in a third-party way, how we want to present our client different from what we can show in a traditional media article, broadcast segment, etc. We also journalists in the room, you can laugh at this. It's easier to control the timing with social media. We have a little bit more of clear and expected and agreed upon, deliverables, and instead of, we filed the story, it's with my editor, 6 months has gone by, what's going on? No one really knows. So working with creators is a great way, especially if we're working on something timely and with a limited amount of time, that we know that messaging is going to get out there in a quick way. Like I said, it's more opportunity for visual storytelling. And then also too, we know that traditional news cycles move on quickly. In the last however many years, they're quicker than ever. And sometimes clients want to see their campaigns go on for a certain amount of time, and we're able to extend the life cycle of those campaigns by having more of a social media approach.
And I think one thing important to point out on this slide as well is, particularly I think in that more international space, when you're looking at the tourism boards that are outside of the US and Canada, we're often given a pretty strict remit in terms of how our programs that we execute on behalf of our clients need to look, often down to the size of a social media following that an influencer needs to have to be able to be considered for a fam trip or one of our other programs. So, I would say don't shoot the messenger sometimes. If we, Jessica, myself, our team understands the value of micro creators, of niche creators to truly reach an audience and resonate with an audience, but sometimes that's beyond our control. And it's a really cut and dry kind of formula that we're working against. So, I think it can be sometimes easier and more flexible, maybe if you're a creator whose constraints don't fit within what our requirements are for a certain destination, to maybe look at a potential hotel partner in that destination if it's really of interest to you and that sort of thing, because there can be just different ways that different clients, different entities within the tourism ecosystem kind of approach creator marketing and influencer marketing.
100%. Now, just to level set and to make it fair for everyone from our end, what we understand our value is for you guys, creators, media, etc. What we provide you guys and is information, access, and resources. If we're doing our job well, we're going to be able to provide you with, fact check, logos, images, etc. Source connections. We know who you guys should be speaking to. Our job is to make your jobs easier, and vice versa. We need to make sure that we're working in very collaborative ways to tell the best stories, however that may take form. If we're doing our jobs really well, especially for FAMs, logistics coordination, let us take that all off for you as much as we're able to, and plan your trip and work really closely with you guys. Something that I personally really love to do and make sure that I do on behalf of all of my clients as we're planning these fam trips is, once I've sent out an invitation to a fam opportunity, and that's obviously the first foot in the door, right? We would love to work with you in some way, but secondarily, I always host consultation calls to make sure that we're really on the same page in terms about what it is that we're trying to get across with this trip, what stories are we trying to tell with these trips, and then for you, does this actually make sense for you? Or is there something that you may be interested in that we haven't thought about putting on our itinerary? And how can we tweak that? And is it better for you in a group format or an individual format? So that logistics coordination and that next level of personalization is really important for us. I do think that our industry people should be doing more of this, is making sure that we really are actually ensuring that these things are symbiotic on both sides. And then if
I'm actually going to give you a shout out on this one before you go on, because it was actually your firm was unbelievable on the fam I went to Isla Mujeres on, because you got me the perfect contact for an article I was working on. And like that was just stunning work. And then beyond that, before the trip, I said, listen, there's something I really want to do. I really want to swim with whale sharks. And you also made that happen. So, like that flexibility and that ability to work with media, I mean, to all the media people on here today, if you haven't worked with PTG yet, recommend 5 stars. And
Thank you.
yeah, so, but yes, let's jump into that one pager and why we're here today.
Yes. And then lastly, if we're doing our jobs really well, efficiency is we're going to make your lives, we're supposed to make your lives a lot more efficient. So let's, in 2026, we're working towards efficiency even more. Okay. And then lastly, just to go over some of, how we collaborate and make decisions before we can even get into one pagers, we really need to understand this. From the PR side, Ashley kind of got into it a little bit. Every single client has a different goal and a different expectation. Our tourism board clients that we have worked with, these are pretty big DMOs. Numbers matter to most of them. And that's just full stop. I'm going to be really honest about that. Big numbers do matter. And that's because these guys are laddering up to people higher than them who don't work with the media industry day to day. And they may see a number before they understand what a channel is, what an outlet is, who they reach, etc. They're really looking at those numbers to impress people. So I know that that's not everyone's favorite answer to hear, but that is the truth. For a hotel or for even a local restaurant, it is a completely different game and a completely different story. Those guys are typically looking for opportunities for conversion. They're looking for heads and beds. They're looking for sales. So having a more niche audience does actually help when you're working with someone that's on a hotel, a restaurant, something that's a little bit smaller than a tourism board provider. Thank you. Something that isn't a tourism board that's looking for massive impression. Ashley, you said it really well earlier this morning about these guys, they need to show that their taxpayer dollar investments are going far. So that is why when you're working with tourism boards, it's a little bit different, and you tend to see those guys going with larger creators, larger audiences. Budget, everyone's budget is different. Some clients we see, they have no budget and really big expectations. And we've got to figure out how to make that work. Brand alignment. Sometimes things just don't align. Sometimes things align in the best of ways. And it truly comes down to, do we all match up for each other? And how are we all going to make it make sense for each other? And then lastly, transparency and trust. This is a really big one. We receive on our end some of the most insane requests constantly from all sides. And it's people that we haven't worked with before, some people that we have worked with before. And if it's an insane request from someone we have worked with before and had a great experience with, let's figure out how we can make it work. But if it's a big ask from someone that we haven't worked with before, we need to work together to make sure that we're all really, really clear, very communicative, very understanding of what the goals are for each person on each end to ensure that we're establishing trust from the get-go and ultimately achieving at the end of the day what our clients' goals are and what you're looking for from collaborating with us too.
And I think that goes hand in hand with having a great profile through TMAC, which is an organization that, we trust and we can refer to find background information about you when we haven't worked together. So
exactly. For media, we understand that sometimes it's not going to be a fit if we're reaching out with a completely irrelevant angle. I really hope that in 2026, everyone really refines their lists and are pitching the right people for the sake of everyone's inboxes. But sometimes it's just irrelevant for you guys. And unfortunately, we all move on. Sometimes it might be on topic-ish, but it's not totally aligned. There's a little bit of a misalignment, and it's not right for whatever reason. And then sometimes it's just you've already covered that angle and you're not going to cover it again, and you're not working on a series of these things. So those are some reasons that we understand that you may not be able to work with us. And then story placement too. We understand that things are changing at a very, very fast pace, and maybe it is the right angle, it is relevant, it's not repetitive, or you are working on a series or of some kind, but you just don't have that right place to place it at the moment. Great. Let's figure out, can we put a pin in that angle? Can we hold that out for you? Or do we have to get that out quickly? Do we need to see results for that to show the client quickly? How can we be working together to make sure that, we already sold you the idea, right? You like it. We don't want to completely take it away from you, but what do we need? What do you need, et cetera? For creators, audience interest. If we're reaching out to you with an opportunity and it is so not going to resonate with your audience, we understand that's a reason why you may not be able to work with us. And then the big one for creators is overall investment. Every time that there's a trip, a story, et cetera, it's an investment for everyone, whether you're on the media side of things, the creator side of things. But we do understand that there is a lot that goes into the creator side of things. And if at the end of the day, it ultimately is just too much time investment for what you might be getting out of it, it may not be a fit. And we understand that for that reason too. For everybody, for all of us, timing is everything. I've always said that our industry is a little bit like fishing. Like you could have all the right material, you could have every single right hook, lure, etc., the weights, everything. But if all of those elements, the tides, I don't know, the weather, etc., if it's not all there, if the timing is off for whatever reason, it's not going to work out, right? You're not going to hook whatever it is you're looking to hook. Timing is everything for all of us, which means that we all need to be continuing to stay in touch with one another. Keep your relationships going. If it's not directly in someone's inbox, keep posting on your social media, engaging with whoever it is you're trying to work with, engage with them in social ways. And it doesn't need to be a direct message on WhatsApp. It doesn't need to be a direct DM on Instagram. It can just be continuing to engage and like their content, and your name just keeps coming up. But timing truly does matter. And if something can't work when you guys reach out at the outset, that doesn't mean that we're not thinking about you and saving. I save everything that comes my way in the right folder. And when I'm looking to do something in 6 months, a year, 2 years from now, I'm looking back at who might make sense to reach out to for this opportunity. The key takeaway from all of this, we need to understand, everyone needs to understand themselves, who they are, who is your brand, what is your brand? And then you need to also understand each other's business model. If you are reaching out to a tourism board, what might that business model be? What might be their goals at a very macro level? Again, everyone's a little bit different, so you do need to get to know them on a different scale, but from a very broad range, what might make a difference between working with a tourism board, between working with a local hotel, especially if it's something for a travel angle. Once we understand that business model, then honest conversation needs to happen about what collaboration goals are going to be in order to be able to move forward in the best way. So now that we understand a little bit of all of that, let's get into the fun stuff. Refining one-pagers for maximum impact. So again, this is all from a very high-level standpoint, but really what we'd love to hammer home today is your one-pager is the first one-on-one conversation that we're going to have with one another before we even speak to one another. So what is the most relevant information that you can give us so that we can be evaluating how we might be able to work together, and truly having a deep and honest understanding of your brand and being able to articulate that is only going to help us even more understand and determine how best we can collaborate. Okay, so we're going to start with creators for this because one-pagers are a little bit more relevant, and there's more to these one-pagers. So I don't know if I can make it any more obvious, but data and metrics are so important, you guys. So important. Please make them as up to date as possible. If you can pull it from as recently as you possibly can, that is only going to benefit us. And for every platform that you work with, data and metrics. Ashley, go ahead and jump in.
I think that's followers. I think that's engagement rate is very important when it comes to direct to consumer influencer platforms. If it's a blog or personally operated website, what does that UVM look like? What does that reach? If you have a newsletter, how many subscribers
Yep.
is that newsletter going to? Any metrics like that, as well as kind of the fourth bullet point on here, audience insights. What's really helpful to us, and I love when I get one sheets that have the pie chart of the breakdown of their audience to show, okay, 75% of your audience is in Canada, and that's our primary market of all the markets in the world that you're going after. We know that that's going to be, a really great fit to sell our clients. So, it could be usually by country is how our clients are kind of looking at that. But if it's a different type of platform where you have more drilled down data to show, percentage of Vancouver versus Toronto versus, New York or US market, et cetera, we'll take that as well. That's always very, very helpful when we're looking at our at how we're targeting the messaging for our clients.
Yeah. And please, this just because I have data and metrics in huge font, that does not mean, please do not get hung up on, you don't need to have big numbers. Niche creators are so important. Micro creators are so important to the right brands and for the right opportunities. And lean into that. You please don't be afraid or feel any sort of way about, you may not have 1 million followers, 100,000 followers, 10,000 followers. If you have a really honed community, your engagement, first of all, we can see it just kind of looking at your profile before we even run it through some of our back-end platforms that we use. But having that engagement is going to be the biggest piece of what it is that we're looking for. And I would say engagement is going to be the number one, and Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah.
The number one metric that we are going to determine whether or not we are going to move forward with working with a creator is that engagement rate.
Typically. And if you have a newsletter or if you're working through a newsletter platform, Substack, otherwise, that open rate, same, I mean, that, that really talks about engagement to a certain sense as well. That's that's extremely helpful.
100%. Other things that are really important, a very concise bio, concise. We all can work on editing ourselves. It's great to know who you are, where you're from, a little bit about maybe why you got into it or what your story is in a concise way. We don't have time to read a full page, nor are we reading a full page. But a little bit about yourself goes a long way.
Perfect.
And bullets are helpful. And, I know we're in the age of AI and there's lots of different feelings about, using AI to help edit our work because we're all in a, the field of writing and communicating and media. But I do find that, sometimes running my bio for different purposes through an AI tool with very specific parameters can help so much. So if I say, please do not change the content or the voice, but help condense this for the purpose of a one-page document about my work and utilize bullets, there are some things you can do that just are time savers that help in that respect.
Yes, Mary
A
Ellen.
couple questions in the chat for you. So the first one, Ashlyn wanted to know, what back-end platforms do you use to vet content creators?
At our agency, we use Clear. We find that to be the most comprehensive vetting tool that we use. And we also take, screenshots from that creators share with us directly from from their own work. But in terms of when we're doing it proactively, it's Clear.
And another one
Clear
from
with a K, just so everyone knows.
Katarina?
Clear with a K.
Yes.
Yeah.
KLEAR.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And then Katerina wants to know, what do you consider a good engagement rate?
Ooh, that's a good one. It kind of depends on, I'd say there are some factors involved. I mean, it depends on the size of your audience and whatnot. I think I want to go back to see kind of currently with our social media manager. I don't want to speak incorrectly. I feel like it's even 2%. Um, but let me check on that.
We won't hold
I
you
don't
to
want to
it.
misspeak in the wrong thing.
There's so
You
many
can follow up
factors
with
that make
us.
a difference
Yeah.
there's not a standard industry benchmark. There is a standard industry benchmark, but again, like there's so many factors that play into why that's not one size fits all. It, like Ashley's alluding to, it really just depends on your audience. The one thing that I will say that I would love to see creators move away from if you are looking to collaborate with brands is stop hiding your likes. We know what that means. And a lot of us will move on from a profile if there's a lot of like hiding. So if I can just impart one piece of advice from a publicist, stop hiding likes.
Oh, and I will go back minimum of 3%. So I was close. 2, I think, was an old metric. So three is typically the baseline. But again, like, like I said, there can be different factors in it. But that usually shows to us that there's a consistent level of engagement through various means with content.
Yes. If you have proof of conversion, oh my God, put that in.
Oh my goodness.
Like put that in as number one and say nothing else. You proof of conversion, 110%. Amazing. If you speak other languages, that is incredible to know. And if you reach your audiences in different languages, that's really helpful to know. What kind of trips you accept when a publicist reaches out with a FAM opportunity? Do you prefer individual opportunities because it just works better for how your process and how you create content? That's very helpful for us to know so that we can kind of plan around that if it's somebody that we really want to work with, that our client really wants to work with, or if you're okay with group format. And if you're okay with group format, do you still require having a assistant, someone that works day to day with you, join you? Or if it's a group of other content creators that are all traveling together, would you be okay with having them support you in taking some of that creation as well? Understanding, whether you do require someone from your team that is with you day to day, or if you're flexible, that's helpful too.
And just something to jump in on quickly, and then this is a great question that just came through. Is if your, cultural identity is something that is very much a part of your point of view in your writing or your content creation, please shout that out loud as well, because I'll say, particularly in the Mexican and Caribbean for our recent projects, there are many times when we're looking for someone with Mexican, Canadian or Mexican American kind of roots, a tie back to that destination that allows us to tell a story from a very, real, authentic point of view. So when I see, on someone's bio, like Mexican and Mexican American writer or, Jamaican, Canadian content creator, that I'm like, oh, I need to get to know that person because they could be a great fit for us, now or somewhere down the line.
The question in the chat.
Yep.
Do you find your clients are more interested in someone with big follower numbers but a lower engagement rate, or prefer higher engagement rate but lower followers?
Great question. I think that oftentimes depends on budget, to be perfectly honest with you, because if someone only has the budget for a micro creator, then we're able to really talk about the engagement rate quite a bit. But I would say, to be perfectly transparent, if there's a healthy budget available and the client is dictating what those creator partnerships look like in terms of size, which is frequently the case, they're typically looking for those bigger numbers. And within those bigger numbers, we as an agency are looking for the engagement rate that fits the criteria. So, we'd be looking for that 3% regardless. And then what that size of following looks like is typically dictated either by the client directly or by their budget.
And you've got some feedback from other industry members who have said that Mackenzie out of Niagara Parks, that they use Influencity and Agility for platforms. And that France at Germain Hotels says that their fit, that engagement is more important for them than followers, and where they're located specifically. So all of these things are really important to include in your one pager, your one sheet, and let's start putting them in our TMAC profiles. And that goes the same for industry. If you only work with earned media, put that in your profile. Put it at the top. If you only work with content creators, put it at the top.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Perfect. The last point that we want to make on this, and I don't think that we need to spend a ton of time because it really, truly, we could spend a ton of time on it. Rates from a baseline level. If you are a creator that has a minimum that you need to start at, please do put that on your one pager. If you are a creator that is open to negotiating, you do not need to put or don't put any type of rate, but rates are changeable for everybody, and each client is different. So unless you are someone that truly will not accept a project under a certain amount of money, then don't list rates. We don't think that you need to list rates because that tells us that you are open to collaboration. That is something that our agency feels. I'm going to be honest that each publicist feels a different way about this. We've seen so much different feedback, but for us, our recommendation is if you have a minimum, put that, and that will kind of, make things determined from there.
Because we're open, we're used to negotiating and we understand that this is a business for creators, but it is helpful if there's a baseline to go into that conversation.
Yes.
With an equal understanding.
One pagers for media. So this is a little bit more straightforward for media, I think. And a lot of this information already exists in multiple different ways. A lot of this information that we have here on this slide is stuff that we work for. So our agency, we're able to work with platforms like Muckrack. But there are some agencies that are not able to afford platforms that are really expensive. Muckrack is not cheap. So for the industry people that may be operating on different budgets, the kind of information that we're looking for that we would love in one concise place, whether that's on your website, your TMAC profile, it should be on there on both places, a short and concise bio. And we love when you guys include personal information. If you love cycling, if you love to cook, if you love your pets, if you're a cat mom, dog dad, those kinds of personal details actually are really hard for us to find if we don't follow you or know you very well. So whatever level of personal information you're willing to share in a bio is super helpful for us because we may be able to draw a connection between your personal interests and our clients in a way that we wouldn't be able to determine until we actually had a one-on-one conversation or met you or while we're together on a trip in person. Again, languages and cultural connection. This is something that is really, really helpful for us to know and to understand, especially too, if you are someone that writes both in English and another language as well, that is an audience that our client is trying to reach. For anyone that's on staff anywhere, a lot of this information is stuff that will be available in an outlet's media kit. Your UVM, your circulation, your newsletter subscribers, household income reach is a really big one, especially if it's for a more niche outlet that we may not be familiar with or our clients may not be super familiar with. Being able to say that you're going to reach a certain household income level is helpful when we're putting forward more niche outlets. And then audience segments and region reach, it's similar to what we were just talking about with creators. If you reach certain demographics, certain regions, that's really helpful for us to know so that we know who our clients are going to be getting in front of. Freelancers, outlets you contribute to actively, the current outlets that you are working with. are so helpful for us to know. We love to see what you guys have worked with in the past, but if it's not what you are currently working with, sometimes that can get a little lost in what we're deducing from ourselves from different profiles. So having that upfront of who you are actively contributing to and working with is really helpful for us to know. If you're broadcast, any stations you might work with, same thing. Audience segments and region, most recent clips. If you have specific data or image requirements to supplement your stories, anything that's really going to be helpful for us to know about what we need to know, that's going to be a requirement to work with you before we even reach out, so that we're prepared in advance. And that this also goes with how you like to work with publicists. We know that every single one of you has a different approach to working with a publicist. And if you have very specific requirements, we would love to have that in one place as an upfront expectation of how we should be approaching you when we want to work with you. FAMs, same thing. How do you want to work with publicists as it relates to FAMs? What kind of trips you accept? That we work with some media that absolutely will not accept a group trip, and that's fair enough. And we have some media that are okay with both. We just need to know upfront. So as we're reaching out to you with invitations, it's going to be an invitation that's relevant for you, so we're not clogging up your inbox. We truly don't want to do that. I put contact information, please, because I understand why some of you hide your contact information, or you have, chatbots that we can fill in and send you a direct message, and it's your discretion to reply. But I have worked at agencies before Muck Rack was really a thing, or other platforms were really a thing. And as a very low-level journalist, a lot of my time went to try to find your email somewhere, whether it was looking on your LinkedIn or looking on your Instagram profile. But if you are open to having your contact information public and available in some way, please put it on your one pager. Also, too, not just for, even though we might be approaching you for an opportunity for earned editorial, if you have other projects that you're working on, or you're open to other opportunities for work, we love keeping that in mind, because you never know, and we'll get into it in a little bit, what that opportunity might be. Copywriting, production, podcast, speaking engagements, etc. Just a little takeaway: save a tree, create a link, and then drop that link in your TMAC profile, which we'll get into right now. So enhancing online professional profiles. I wanted to make this a little bit of an interactive session. I know we're a little tight on time, but from a first look at my TMAC profile, does anybody see any kind of a way that I might be able to enhance my profile?
Absolutely. Right away, I want you to tell me, what destinations are you repping in Canada? Because this is what we use these profiles for the most as media. We want to know, do we want to accept your invite or not? And make sure they're also current. You want to see our current stats. We want to see that you have updated your profile and aren't going to tell us you're repping 10 different places, but actually you're only at TMAC for Canadian journalists for one. Tell us the one.
Exactly. You hit it. All right, I'm going to move forward. And then for an industry, a media example, we have
What did you say about learning to edit yourself and be more concise, Jessica? Maybe this person could take that feedback.
Just a little bit more concise. But I will say, so in reading Nadine's bio, there was one section that I suggested to her that maybe wouldn't be super relevant. And she came back to me saying, actually, she got a lot of questions about where her content syndicates. And for that reason, she had this section in her profile specifically. So again, please, truly everything we're talking about today, take it with a grain of salt, apply it to you as it is relevant. Because I may look at this and see a lot of words, but then when I really boil down to it, all of it is beneficial to me, and I just need to take that extra minute to understand why and how it's going to be helpful when I'm sharing with my client that we are going to be working with X, Y, and Z individual.
And syndication's a big one, right? And I know that kind of changes what those agreements and opportunities look like from year to year. Yahoo Creators is, really prevalent, I think, with good interaction and engagement right now. So any of whether it's a traditional wire service that you have a relationship with, the Post Media network, different newspapers, that sort of thing, like that's a gold mine of information to us.
Perfect. And just a quick checklist. Again, everything with a grain of salt. Please make it as relevant to you as you see fit. Your name, your affiliation, a concise bio with current clients, who you are representing, outlets, channels, opportunities for collaboration that you're open to, pitching if there's any kind of a story that you're actively working on, or certain angles that you're interested in pursuing over a long period of time. Press trip invite guidelines, that's always really helpful, and brief personal interests as well. Relevant links to your website, to your social media, contact information as you are okay with it, and then a current headshot. This is very helpful. Sometimes we see photos and then we meet people in real life. This goes for every single one of us, and it's not maybe a different person than what we thought we saw online. So current headshots are very helpful. Strategic use of social media. So to just have, now that we have our one pager down and we have our online profile enhanced in a way, how can we be leveraging for different opportunity, for maximized opportunity, to really, grab new opportunities and collaborations for the year? So this is one that we mentioned a little while ago with Nadine. We hosted Nadine in August as part of our FAM to Isla Mujeres and Cozumel. Nadine, do you want to take this one and explain the process?
Yeah, I mean, very briefly, I was sitting in the airport on my way to Isla Mujeres, and I just typed in to Facebook, I didn't have Isla Mujeres in Mexico on my bingo card this year. And but here I am. And within, I don't know, 15 minutes, one of my editors that I write for often, Porter Airlines In-Flight Magazine, messaged me and said, I need an article on Isla Mujeres. And I was like, well, that was the most relevant and important social media post I've ever put out. Maybe I should do that more instead of showing what I'm eating. So it was definitely a great way to use social media to just let my followers, including editors, know that what destination I was heading to next.
Definitely. Leveraging opportunity as much as possible, and leveraging your social platforms and making sure that your social platforms are up to date and current too. That's going to be a great way to, get a broad reach and exactly like what Nadine just described. And then expanding opportunity in a condensed marketplace. Ashley, I am gonna kick it over to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
To explain how we've done this before with our media.
Sure. So I know, obviously things are very fragmented. We're working in a much more fragmented media market than truly ever before. And I know that a lot of folks that we work with on all sides of media, traditional media bloggers, influencers, et cetera, are looking for new revenue streams and ways to, basically increase the return on investment that they have from spending time in working with DMO, a hotel or a hotel brand. So these are just things to kind of think of. And if you've engaged in any of these types of additional programs before, or you're interested in them or have something to offer, I think those are great things to put on your one sheet. So first of all, represented here in this slide is if you've ever been a spokesperson or done on-air TV spots, or, if you're regularly tapped to be a travel expert based upon the work that you've done, that's great for us to know. This picture here shows a time where we actually, as an agency, needed a spokesperson on behalf of one of our destinations. And we were able to tap into a journalist that we had hosted for the destination before, who had that on-air experiences and had the right sort of background with the destination that we needed. And she was able to join us on this segment for KTLA in Los Angeles. And as part of this, she promoted her book, which was, kind of tied into our overall topic of Mexican culture. So when we have opportunities like this, when we want to collaborate with you, we want you to benefit from them in any way possible as well. So this was kind of a home run for everybody involved. Offering photography or video services, if you're any sort of journalist or creator and you sell your photography, you sell B-roll, you will create content that can be licensed or fully owned for a price to Tourism Board hotel brand. Let us know that up front as well. I think that, not every client is going to be in a position, right now to take advantage of that, but many might be, or many, sometimes we have a need for a one-off photograph in a destination that we don't have yet and we know is an editorial need. We can organize, payment for ownership of a few photos on a certain topic during your existing press trip, things of that nature. We've worked with traditional journalists very recently, actually, who's launched a web series. And so, we've been in close contact with him saying, how do you, here's how you can best market what you're doing digitally via YouTube to the publicists that you already have in your network. And I think a big part of something like a web series is also understanding what is that financial entry point for a potential destination or hotel client that might want to be part of that new media that you're creating. Typically it should, that financial entry point is best when it's standard across the board. Expenses might differ, that sort of thing. But if there's a partnership fee and that's standardized, that's typically the best way for us to kind of learn about the opportunity and assess it, in addition to what that audience looks like or what you anticipate it's going to look like.
Yes.
And then also, I think just quickly, like newsletters we talked about a little bit, but also if there's other, complementary writing services that you have to offer, if you're interested in potentially, doing copywriting for one of our clients or being a blogger contributor, that sort of thing, let us know. Again, might be an option, might not, but it's great to know from the upfront.
Perfect. And then just a last takeaway, I'll leave it here, a checklist for success. Establishing, just to recap everything we talked about today, establishing a clear and honest understanding of your brand and of the opportunities that you're seeking in order to determine how to achieve your goals when you reach out to us or we reach out to you. Updating a one-pager, make it digital, please. That would be so helpful for your publicist friends, for all of us, truly, to save your information. Refreshing professional profiles with top line need to knows. Everyone's going to have something that's a little bit different. So what is the most important information about yourself on a general scale that you want people to know when they reach out to you? And put yourself out there, leverage your community. Like Nadine said, like Ashley said, you never know when something's going to come back full circle, or, when your community is going to come through in a different way. And I have these two logos here. Like Ashley said at the beginning, we are part of Preferred Travel Group. And one of our key slogans is that we're better together. And truly our community, our industries are all better when we work together hand in hand for better collaboration. So with that, I know we're kind of right at time.
Yeah, we're there. Thank you, Jessica and Ashley.
Thank you.
So much information. Are you willing to share the deck with
Sure.
with participants?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so I'm sure Christine can help us get the deck out to people. I also want to get the information out to everyone, the survey that we just did, I've got a list of all of the different things that industry said they wanted to see on a one-pager. So I tried to put that in the chat. I had a technical issue, can't put files in there right now, but I will put it on the TMAC page so that I can share that information with you um, for everyone as well. For industry, a reminder, put that important information on your TMAC profile in advance of Media Marketplace. Let us know whether you work with both content creators or earned media, and for earned media, well, and of course, what destinations you're repping. And contact information is always greatly appreciated as well. And for media on the other side, keep it concise, but make sure you give them all the relevant numbers, especially engagement and your social platform numbers. And we'll have a really exciting media marketplace coming up this year. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much for your time and for joining us. We really appreciate it. I hope to see all of you in person in a couple of months, and stay warm until then.
And any follow-up questions, reach out to Jess. We're happy to continue the conversation.
There were a couple we missed in the chat along the way. There was, if we have a second to go over it, Jody asked, some of us are hybrid. We're mostly wanted for our tier 1 placement, but we also make money through broadcast and campaigns on our social blog micro numbers. We don't want to muddy the waters, but is it offside to include both? And I think you already answered that it's okay in a one-pager to show both sides of what you offer because you want to know what we offer, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's yeah. I think that's helpful. And I was sorry, I was caught up a little bit by the comment from Jody of the editor being, having a negative reaction to asking for a media kit. And fair, fair point. I know obviously the importance of keeping the two separate. I'm sorry that was such a negative reaction that you got from that. So I think, you all know your editors, and maybe kind of use that recommendation with discretion based upon how your editors might react to that. But if it's, it typically circulation, that sort of thing, is information that's out in the world if you so choose to include that on your profile. Again, as just mentioned, that's more so for publicists that don't have as big of a presence to have the tools and resources to get that quickly. Are there any others?
Thank you, everyone.
Honestly, there were so many questions that came in at one spot that I missed a few, but we're getting a lot of thank yous and fabulous presentation and fabulous information and bravos. Thank you all so much. I don't know how to stop the recording, but maybe